Evan and I had what I thought was a perfect marriage. We were college sweethearts, the kind of couple everyone envied. He was a successful architect, I was a graphic designer, and we lived in a beautiful home with our golden retriever, Leo. Our life was a carefully curated collection of happy moments. Weekend hikes, cozy movie nights, and Sunday brunches with friends. Evan was my rock, my best friend, my everything. Or so I believed. The first crack in our perfect world appeared on our 7th anniversary. Evan had always been thoughtful, but this year he seemed distracted. He forgot our dinner reservation, and his gift was a hastily bought necklace that was in my style at all. When I brought it up, he just apologized, blaming a stressful project at work. I brushed it off. Everyone has off days, right? But then the off days started to multiply. He started working late more often. His phone was always face down on the table, and he'd jump whenever I walked into the room while he was on it. A cold knot of suspicion began to tighten in my stomach. I hated the person I was becoming, the wife who checked phone records and sniffed for unfamiliar perfume. I found nothing concrete, just a series of late-night calls to an unsafe number and vague credit card charges for dinners and hotels in nearby towns. When I confronted him, he had a plausible explanation for everything. The calls were from a new contractor. The dinners were business meetings. The hotels? He claimed he booked them for out-of-town clients. He made me feel crazy, paranoid, and guilty for doubting him. For a while, I tried to believe him. I wanted to believe him. The real turning point came a few months later. Evan told me he had to go on a week-long business trip to a conference in Chicago. He packed his bag, kissed me goodbye, and promised to call every night. That first night, he called, his voice sounding distant and staticky. He said the hotel Wi-Fi was terrible and he'd have to keep it short. The next day, I was at the mall picking up a gift for my sister's birthday when I saw him. My heart stopped. It was unmistakably Evan, walking out of a high-end jewelry store, but he wasn't alone. He was with a woman, a stunning redhead in a stylish dress. He was smiling, a genuine, happy smile I hadn't seen on his face in months. He took a small, elegant box from the store clerk and handed it to her. She opened it, her face lit up, and she threw her arms around his neck, kissing him deeply. I felt like the world had tilted on its axis. My breath caught in my throat, and I ducked behind a large planter, my body trembling. Chicago? A business trip? It was all a lie. He was here, in our city, living a completely different life. I watched, paralyzed, as they walked away, hand in hand, looking like the perfect couple. I stumbled to my car, my mind a blur of confusion and pain. Who was that woman? How long had this been going on? That night, I didn't sleep. I just stared at the ceiling, replaying the scene over and over. The next morning, fueled by a mixture of anger and adrenaline, I decided I needed answers. I couldn't confront him, he would just lie again. I had to follow him. I called in sick to work and waited. Around mid-morning, he left our house, dressed not in a suit for a conference, but in casual jeans and a sweater. I followed his car from a safe distance, my heart pounding against my ribs. He drove for about 45 minutes, pulling into a quiet tree-lined suburban neighborhood I'd never seen before. It was a neighborhood of charming, family-style homes with manicured lawns and kids' bikes in the driveways. He parked in front of a lovely 2-story blue house with a white picket fence. My stomach lurched as he walked up the path and unlocked the front door as if he owned the place. As if it was his home. I parked down the street, my mind reeling. What was this place? A few minutes later, the same redhead from the mall came out to get the mail. She was humming. Then, a little boy, maybe 4 or 5 years old, ran out the front door and shouted, "Daddy!" Evan, my Evan, turned around, scooped the little boy into his arms, and spun him around. The woman smiled, ruffling the boy's hair. They looked like a picture-perfect family. I felt like I was going to be sick. This wasn't just an affair. This was a whole other life. A second family. My husband, the man I shared a bed with, had a wife and a child that I knew nothing about. I sat in my car for what felt like an eternity, just watching. I saw them play in the yard. I saw him push the little boy on a swing set in the back. I saw the woman bring them lemonade. It was a scene of domestic bliss, a life he was living completely separate from me. The betrayal was so profound, so complete, it was hard to even process. I drove home in a daze. Our house, once my sanctuary, now felt like a stage set for a play. Our photos on the wall seemed like props from a fictional story. When Evan called that evening, pretending to be tired from his conference, I played along. My voice was calm, almost robotic. I asked about his day, about the speakers, about Chicago. He lied so easily, so smoothly. It was chilling. Every word was a dagger in my heart. For the next few days, I was an actress in my own life. I planned my next move with a cold, clear-headed resolve I didn't know I possessed. I contacted a lawyer, gathered all our financial documents, and took pictures of Evan's car parked at the Blue House. I needed proof. I needed to protect myself. The man I married didn't exist. He was a stranger, a liar, a phantom. The day he was due back from his trip, I was ready. I had packed his bags and placed them by the front door. Next to them, I put a single framed photo. It was a picture I had discreetly taken from my car, showing him, his other woman, and their son on the porch of the Blue House. When he walked in smiling and holding a souvenir from Chicago for me, his face fell when he saw his suitcases. He started to ask what was wrong, but then he saw the photograph. The color drained from his face. For the first time, he was speechless. There were no more lies, no more excuses he could possibly invent. "Who is she, Evan?" I asked, my voice steady, betraying none of the seismic chaos inside me. He just stood there, staring at the picture, the architect of his own destruction. "Her name is Chloe," he finally whispered. "And the boy?" "His name is Leo." My blood ran cold. Leo. He had named his other son after our dog. The sheer cruelty of it, the absolute disregard for me, for our life together, was staggering. It was in that moment that any lingering shred of love I had for him died. There was nothing left to salvage. I told him to get out. I told him my lawyer would be in touch. He tried to explain, to apologize, but his words were meaningless. He had built a life on a foundation of deceit, and now it had all come crashing down. Walking away from my marriage was the hardest thing I've ever done. It felt like walking away from a part of myself. The healing process was long and painful. There were days I couldn't get out of bed and nights spent crying over a life that turned out to be a lie. But with time and a lot of therapy, I started to rebuild. I leaned on my friends and family, rediscovered my passion for my work, and slowly, piece by piece, I put my life back together. It's been 2 years now. I sold the house we shared and moved into a bright, airy apartment in the city that feels entirely my own. I learned that the secret life Evan built eventually crumbled. Chloe left him when she discovered he had been lying to her too. He had told her he was a widower. The wreckage he caused was widespread. Sometimes I think about the woman I was, the one who blindly trusted the man she loved. I don't regret that trust. I regret that he was unworthy of it. Discovering his secret life was devastating, but in a strange way, it was also liberating. It forced me to find a strength I never knew I had and to build a new life, one based on my own truth, not someone else's lies. I am no longer just Zara, Evan's wife. I am just Zara, and for the first time in a long time that feels like more than enough. Thanks for listening to my story. If you're going through something similar, remember your strength and don't be afraid to start over. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories.